Good morning. Good morning. I'm awake. How are you? We're recording this and it'll be posted on the web later today, so your colleagues who decided to sleep in have a chance to listen to it and fall asleep yet again. This also gives us a chance to share our remarks with our colleagues at the College of Law. They don't start class till next week. And of course, here on our historic campus in DeLand, it's full speed ahead. And if you're like most of us, you have felt most of the last couple of days like you're trying to drink out of an open fire hydrant. It has been quite the time. My plan is to give you a taste, or maybe an entire buffet, I'm not quite sure, of what's been going on this past year. Give you a little hint of what is scheduled for the year ahead, and then ask our Provost to come up. She has a number of things to report and announce, and then I will close our session. This past week, we have been involved in our focus events for our undergraduate students, our first time in college, and transfer students. And I always find that particularly exhilarating, exhausting, and exhilarating, because it gives us a chance to see the new blood that comes in and transforms our university every single year. And I want to give a special thanks to so many of you who have been involved in our orientation focus events, who have been working with your advisees, who have started your freshman seminar classes, who have helped shoehorn our students into their housing, and all the many, many things that come with a successful opening of school. So thank you all so very much for everything that you've done. I also wanted to especially thank my senior team who've been involved making sure that everything worked, and especially over the summer where we do an awful lot of our planning activities. And this is a test to see if I can figure out who they all are. But thankfully, most of them, oh, Greg, you're here. You were on my list of where is he sitting. But with that red shirt, how could I miss you? So Beth Paul, our Provost, Greg Carroll, who's VP of Marketing and PR, Chris Candace, VP of Student Life. Because we have, we have new faculty who may not have met all of you. Bob Huth, our CFO and Chief Business Officer, Greg Altier, our Athletics Director, Carol Julian. Jeff, sorry, Greg, is that what you said? There are so many Gregs. It's just one of those four-letter names. So, Jeff Altier. Do all of you know I'm not a morning person? Carol Julian, VP for University Relations. Joel Bauman, who gave me a half a wave, he's back there, VP of Enrollment. Jan Kindred, who's sitting over here by virtue of being the chair of our Faculty Senate, is on our senior team. Joan Beasley, who's back there, who daily holds me together. And did I miss anybody? Okay. We spent a whole day yesterday out at the St. Johns River at our boathouse, or our dock house, trying to think through all of the interesting things that occurred because of our large enrollment this year and how we plan for the entire university. So we're all a little tired of each other, but it's okay. I want to also recognize my husband, Richard, who decided to come and yet again listen to me. Thank you. Those of you who are sitting in the back, there's nothing poisonous in these seats. And in fact, I love being able to look into your eyes, so if you'd like to sit up here, that would be great. And speaking of eyes, I have a continual, thank you, Jane. I appreciate that. I have a continual problem with my eyes, so it's not that I'm tearing up at my own words. So, I hope some of you were at our opening celebration on Saturday. We had students and alumni and faculty talk about their Stetson moments and the crystallization for them of something special about this university in their personal experience. And I had another one walking into Elizabeth Hall this morning with my husband, where I stopped and I looked up and I looked at the remodeled, it's not really modeled, but re-roofed and painted cupola on the top of this building. And I thought about over a century of people who have walked up that walk and been inspired by that building, and that's how I felt. So this is a Stetson moment for me, and especially good for me to take this time to summarize for you the trajectory we're on and to put this all together for you. This is indeed one Stetson. I knew it when I joined this university just a little over 4 years ago, and I know it even more so now as I have watched you work together with colleagues across the 150-mile span that we have. We really are moving in the same direction. I also want to thank our admissions staff here on this campus as well as at the law school. We have all been stretched by the growth in people's interests in our university. It's really, really something to be proud of. Let me give you a snapshot of our entering class here at DeLand. So what I'm going to do is give you some numbers from 2009, because for me, that's a real marker, because that's when I started. Actually, I started at Stetson about 5 weeks before our 2009 class came in, and then tell you where we are today. And I do this, first of all, to give you a sense of the volume that we're working with, but volume alone is not important. It's quality that really matters. But I also want you to get a sense of where your university is. So in 2009, we had about 4,600 applications for our entering class. I'm not talking transfers, I'm talking just first time in college. 4,600 applications, 10,500 this year. About 2,500 students were admitted, 6,200 this year. 520 deposits, 891 this year. These are all as of August 13th, I think, or maybe August 18th. The date is going to switch a little bit because we actually count on Census Day. 2009, just under 18% of our new students were from outside the state of Florida, and I'm not even telling you the percentage that were outside the 3 counties around Volusia. 36% from out of state now, comprising 38 states, 3 territories, and 28 countries. Our gender mix, and this is something I would hope we can improve, and short of starting another football team, I'm not quite sure how to do it, but we've gone from 54% female to 59% female, but this is a national trend for colleges like us, especially those who are not large public institutions. U.S. students of color, we've gone from 19%, about 100 students, to 31%, 275. International students, 21 to 49. And the GPA of our entering class has gone from 3.77 to 3.86. Now, of course, in between this time, we've gone test optional. So the data is not exactly comparable, but our average SAT score has gone from 1128 to 1159. And we have been able to grow the faculty commensurate with our enrollment growth. Our law school numbers are not yet tallied, so I can't report those to you, but I can tell you that when the law school had an opportunity this year to choose quality over quantity, they chose quality, and I'm very, very proud that they, as well as those of us here on this campus, that this entire university cares so much about academic quality. So now we're going to move to the strategic map. Somebody on my staff said, you know, they can't stand looking at that map anymore. So we changed the colors for you. It is much prettier. It's still as boring as you think it is. I think it's very interesting. And you better get used to it, because we're going through a new strategic planning process this year, because this map was written with a 3-year horizon, and we're going, now that we've really moved through and been successful most all of these places, and with most of these goals, we're really ready to say, our horizon is longer, what's happening over the next 5 years? And I frankly love the map because it's so easy to explain to alumni, and I don't have to give them a 50-page report. I just explain what's on it. So if you just bear with me, I'm not going to read it, so you're lucky in that regard. But I am going to remind, especially for the new people that they're here, remind you that the central challenge here was to focus innovation to drive Stetson from success to significance, and that's what is in that blue-gray oval at the top. And the chief goals are to clarify our distinctiveness, enroll the best students for the university, increase the academic excellence of our programming, optimize the lifelong Stetson experience, make sure we build critical systems and infrastructure and be a great place to work. And then that all sits on financial health and sustainability and living out our values more deeply. So if that's all you know about the map, A+ for you. So I'm going to talk first about clarifying and asserting our values and what has been accomplished this year, and then I'm going to work through each of the columns and the 2 bars at the bottom. By then, we'll all be ready for the bar. So in the light blue column about clarifying and asserting our identity, our values, and our distinctiveness, we spent a lot of time this year talking about what does it mean to be a Hatter. And in fact, we even had a session during Focus this year about what does it mean to be a Hatter. And as I said earlier, we've spent a lot of time making ourselves one Stetson in our 4 locations across the state, sometimes by integrating systems, sometimes by having people who are stationed in one place versus another, but responsible for university activities. The marketing message, which came out, 3.5 years ago, when we said dare to be significant. We said from success to significance. This was about the university, but it was also about every student and every one of us sitting here. Not only have we had to stop other college presidents from using the word significance, which we trademarked. I mean, we trademarked the phrase, you can't trademark the word, or although we would if we could. We have found that is a message that resonates with our alumni very, very deeply, and it resonates with the potential or prospective students that come to visit and their families, and I hope that it resonates for you. We just won a CASE Division III Grand Award, which is the top award you can receive, for our visual magazine. If you haven't seen it, do you remember or think about if you have children when they're going to look at colleges, they get view books. They're pummeled through your mailbox by still paper view books. And usually they get the same view book over and over and over again because nobody changes it from year to year. And instead here we print what we call the visual, which happens to have SU, visual, in the title. And we print it 3 times a year. And it's written totally toward a new student population. One of my really favorite articles was, what are they wearing on campus? And we had a number of our students dressed as students normally are dressed, and it just captured the activity that's here, and we just won an award from CASE, which is the national organization that reviews public relations and marketing and fundraising. In the College of Law, the commitment that is true all over the university, on this campus as well as in Gulfport, the commitment to voluntary service is very, very strong, and we have a great reputation for the pro bono commitment that we have there, giving over 20,000 hours of time just this year. The College of Law, like the undergraduate and graduate programs here, believes strongly in social justice and has started a concentration there, and of course has had a national, if not international, distinction in advocacy. And just 2-3 days ago, on August 19th, we won the 2013 Zimmer National Workers' Compensation Moot Court Competition in New York against students all over this country. So as we've clarified who we are and what is distinctive, the law school has done that through not only its voluntary service, but its really remarkable and outstanding record in the various competitions across the country and across the world. So I'm going to move now to the yellow column, which is increased targeted enrollment and retention of the best students for Stetson. You know, the words were chosen really carefully here because we could grow and be so large and pay no attention to the quality of the students that we admit or their resonance with what we do here, that they could come in and lots of them could leave because this was the wrong choice. And you know how this is a really stressful time for an 18-year-old, and mom and dad and grandma and everybody are, you know, kind of hustling them around about how they have to make this choice. The truth is, if they think with their heart as well as their head, they're going to make the right choice because they're going to go to a university where they fit. And so finding the best students for Stetson has really been important. So as you've already heard, this fall we welcomed the largest first-time in college class in our history. And I always look at Michael Brandt and remember how he pounded into me the academic quality initiative when I got here and said how that initiative looked at raising the number of students and the quality of our class. And I'm really proud that we've made progress in that regard. But we've also increased net revenue. And that's really, really important because that's what funds the changes you see, not just in the paychecks that you take home, but in the quality of our physical space. Beth Paul was saying yesterday, of course I've heard her say it more than yesterday, but that May 3rd was a turning point for us here. And it was a turning point because we made our freshman class on May 3rd. Other years, we were admitting students, I dare say, not only into July, but into August. So making a class by virtually the national decision date and establishing a wait list, which is a powerful message in the marketplace. We didn't have a goal this year of establishing a wait list. That was a couple of years out. But being able to say that if you care about going to Stetson, you better get your paperwork in. You better show up, and you better be committed because there are other quality students ready to come and take your place, is a really, really strong message. May 3rd. The law school added online LLM and advocacy, which of course you know they're #1 in the nation and have been for the last 15 years, either #1 or #2. And developed a new program with the Honors College at University of South Florida so that Honors College students who achieve certain distinction in their LSATs and their grade point can join the Stetson Law community. And we've established there a Veterans Advocacy Clinic and a Supreme Court Clinic. And all in all, the law school has been way at the edge of the improvements we're going to see in law education. By having our clinics there, by making sure that the lawyers who graduate know not just the law, but how to practice law, how to work with clients, we really are on the leading edge of law education. We've developed a strategic enrollment plan, and yesterday had a very lively discussion about the interlocking factors of size of class, quality of class, geography of class. How much contingency do we have to hold in our budget to make sure that we are financially strong, even if we miss our count on students? How much risk are we willing to take by going to new marketplaces where Stetson may not be well known? These are issues for us university-wide. And the important thing is to develop a pool of applicants for all of our programs that is large enough that enables us to choose our students, not just have the doors open to see what comes in. That's an institution that is in control of herself. And so we have made sure to hire seasoned leadership in our admissions and financial aid offices across the campus. We've also wanted to improve the experience for our students, and so on this campus we have a one-stop shop that's over in Griffith Hall, so students can come in and talk with people from the bursar's office, the registrar's office, financial aid, and so on, so we don't send them on the Stetson trek where they get to walk to every building on campus in their first hour. We've also, and I really knew that was working because, first of all, I know that the last couple of weeks, especially for people in our student, in the financial aid office, in the bursar's office, in the finance office, has been really hard because parents got their bills earlier. We wanted to get the problems cleared up before they showed up on campus. And miraculously, a couple of us, I think Lua was one, and I walked over just to see how the one shop was going. And when I got there, there was only one person there. And I think Lua, wherever you are, when you walked over there, there was no one there except our staff. And that says the hard work got done ahead of time. And that most challenging day of a student's entry to us was smoothed over. Thank everyone who had a hand in that. So, great. We crafted a strategic plan, a 3-year strategic plan for student life. It looks almost like that. It has all different words, but it's all colored boxes. But it's very exciting. And moved to a more comprehensive relationship with the Florida hospital in DeLand to work with our students, and the medical professionals that work there will even take you on as patients, and then you can finish up and see them at their offices at Victoria Park. This year, I was especially pleased to see a revitalized commitment to multicultural programming, and especially pleased to be part of that. We completed work with an anti-hazing task force, leading to a real positive shift in our community around peer accountability for issues like that. And we also completed the Athletics Training Center about 2 hours, I think, before the students got here. A miss is as good as a mile, right? Well, 2 hours is as good as 2 weeks. And the training facility, of course, houses women's lacrosse, men's and women's soccer, and football. I hope you all have your season tickets. If you don't, and if you bought them but you don't have your tickets, they are available starting today, over at Edmonds Center, and there's something out on the web about extended hours for those tickets. But if you don't, they're still for sale. But about 2/3 of the stadium is already sold out and committed. This past year, we inaugurated 3 new sports: football, women's sand volleyball, and women's lacrosse. And they're all great fun to watch, but women's lacrosse is especially fun because I knew nothing at all about it. And I've really enjoyed that, so I commend them to you. By the way, we've had 3 exhibition games so far this year, just over the weekend, in soccer, and our women's soccer team, coached by our new coach, Manoj Khetri, won both exhibition games, and Coach Logan and the men's team won their first exhibition game. So I think there's something to watch in our soccer program. The third column, increase the excellence of the academic program. Working together with faculty, our provost has developed a multi-year staffing program, building strength specifically in interdisciplinary areas like international learning, data analytics, natural sciences, creative arts, and entrepreneurship. We as a university have successfully completed well over 25 searches for new faculty and, of course, a new dean at our School of Music. The academic area has been busy this past year, acquainting the new deans that were appointed last year with Stetson, and those deans have all been busy concentrating on developing strategic plans for their areas. We've also put extra effort, especially over the last quarter, in developing graduate programs, especially in business and education. And our excellence at our College of Law includes championships in National Professional Responsibility Moot Court Competition, where we won all 6 positions. The law school also, over the last number of years, has been working to increase our bar passage rate. And this past February, it was elevated to almost 94%, putting us second in the state. We're very, very proud of that. Our faculty have moved to a merit evaluation process. They have had significant input in the development of that process, and we have now implemented the 3rd phase of faculty compensation equity and the multiple years as well for our staff equity program. We've increased support for faculty learning and for technology and brought in significant new connections for international programming. And I'm really proud to announce, although you already have heard it, but I need to say it because it sounds so sweet to me, that for the first time we have an endowed dean position here on this campus, and that is the Betty Dries Johnson Dean of Library and Digital Learning Technologies. And Betty Johnson, who so many of you know, she was an employee here for 50 years. She was a student here. She married a faculty member here. She lives a couple of blocks from here. She's on our board of trustees. Betty funded that endowed position, and I'm just really proud every time I get to say her name in conjunction with an endowed deanship. Lastly, we also received the top academic award from the Atlantic Sun for our students' work this year. And that has been something that I know our faculty athletic representative, as well as our AD, and I have been really excited about getting. And Mike Bitter helped to change the formula because it seemed that it was built totally on GPAs, and you just don't get easy A's at Stetson University. So we're very proud to have received it for the really outstanding work that goes on here and our students' success. Optimize the lifelong Stetson experience. It's sort of that orange thing up there. We've expanded our student success initiatives significantly. We've seen progress in retention, although we don't have that number yet, but we're all kind of hanging in there. It looks like we've increased our retention this year, students from first year to second year, and done significant work in our tutoring and in mathematics. There's been a rethinking of the entire career services program, including advising and internships, and I look forward to more and more connections with not only businesses, but graduate schools and nonprofit organizations. The College of Law created a Bridge to Practice program, which really helps graduates who want to go into private practice, and especially in this dicey labor market, gives them the opportunity to be even more ready for that. There's also a postgraduate program that we're offering to take extra bar topic classes, and as you can see, the results speak for themselves in that regard. We now have over 400 students participating in Division I sports, and about 400 in our club sports. At homecoming, we had almost 4,000 people turn out to see a football scrimmage and to be excited in general about their university. Our women in basketball won their conference championship, and while that's exciting, I thought the real excitement was we were seated 14th in our regional competition, whereas 2 years ago we were seated 16th. This shows an increasing respect for our women's basketball program, and a number of us traveled to watch them play UCLA up in Columbus, Ohio. And if we'd only played the first half like we played the second half, we would have gone on to the next round. This was a team that never said die. I'm so proud of those women athletes and our coaching staff. I already mentioned Manoj Khetri, our new head coach in women's soccer. Corey Williams joined us, our new head coach in men's basketball, and we were awarded host status, not UCF, we were awarded host status for the upcoming NCAA second and third round basketball championships in Orlando. I'm just wondering why I put this here instead of somewhere else, but I'll tell it to you now anyway. So I think because our lifelong connection, which is what this column of goals is about making connections not only with our current students for life, but also with our alumni. I'm really proud to announce, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the campaign in a moment, but in our fundraising campaign, which was kicked off this past July, we have now raised $35 million in gifts and pledges in year one. Now, the real number, so you don't accuse me of exaggerating, was $34,757,577.21. If any of you would like to give 79 cents, I would prefer this be a round number. We also accept $7.90, $79, $790. But I hope when the time comes, you'll think about supporting the institution that we believe is making a meaningful difference, and we hope is making a difference in your life as you are in Stetson's life. We also appointed some major gift officers who are responsible for a significant amount of the money that we raise. And this past year, they brought in 5 times their compensation in giving. Very exciting. We initiated Stetson Lifelong, which is a program here in DeLand, as well as Celebration, where many retirees or folks who may not be retired can come and learn in short courses. Some of you are even teaching them, and can teach other courses in areas of specific interest. So I'm just thinking that I am ready for Stetson Lifelong in however many years. There were a couple of courses there that really caught my eye, and the new brochure has just come out. So if you have somebody who you think might be interested, please get them from Emily Richardson, or you can come into my area in DeLand Hall and pick one up. The 5th column, renew and build critical systems and infrastructure. We finally have what I would call a formalized matrix and a budgeting process that tells us what capital projects need to get done when, and estimates the funding required. At the same time, we're building a replacement reserve to put toward those projects. So it's not just happenstance. We know which roofs need to be replaced when. We know that the cupola here needs to be done. We had our painting crew this year painted every residence hall room on this campus, and also redid the interior. Yeah. And also redid the interior of the south wing of Emily, and so we're kind of proceeding to redo each of our residence halls, plus had 6 weeks to get the university remodeled, plus had to deal with doing some minor renovations and making sure the Clarion Inn was available for the 52 students who were located there. It has been a fabulous year for what we have accomplished and what our facilities staff has done. And if you were on campus on last Friday, I think we planted 1,500 more plants where Stetson Hall used to be because it just didn't look perfect enough. It was gorgeous. Thank you. This year, we've also developed a 5-year financial model. We've tested it, what's called stress testing, which is not what you and I have every morning when we get out of bed. It means if things change, if the stock market changes and our endowment changes, if we don't have as many students, if prices for oil and gas go up, if things change, how do we manage that financially? And I'm really proud to tell you that we're in a very strong position. We also produced an interactive model for housing. So we were able to put data in, and it would let us know through retention, historical retention material that we have, and how many beds that we have on this campus, how many students without beds we would end up with. And we were using that all throughout the last few months to estimate where we'd come out in housing and to know what we needed. Fifth Third Bank was awarded status as our main, really our sole corporate bank, which really saved us quite a bit of money. We hope you will find more efficiencies as well. But they now have our banking relationship, and we have a one card that they've developed that our students are using, and they use it to access dining services or the library, and it has many, many, many uses. And I've already got my new card, and I hope over time you'll all get yours. I think also it has a chip in it, so if you choose to attach money to the card, you can use it as a debit card. We awarded a new contract to Chartwell's for our food service, and we were very, very impressed. The committee who made that decision was very impressed with their interest in healthy food options and in local sourcing of our food. We've also planned, and we're now executing moves to become one university digitally. And so we will have increased synergy among our 4 campuses with the technology that we offer. In addition, Law has started an online advocacy journal, and we have mobile-friendly software for all of our LLM programs. The Law campus is also involved both at Gulfport and at Tampa in a campus master planning project. And finally, in this area, through the re-energizing of our emergency response and planning group, which is going to be led by Chris Candace, I believe we will have a campus that is much more facile in its response to emergencies, and we can feel much more secure that when, because it isn't just if, it's when we are confronted by something, that we can manage it in a way that promotes safety for everyone here. So the last column, it says, be a great place to work. And I know for a lot of people, that just means that you've been compensated this year and had a salary raise, and many of you have received equity adjustments. But it's more than that. It's also being a community. And so I think many of you have now learned to get on Stetson Today. I hope many of you have it as your web homepage. And it has become, across the university, the place to go to find out what's going on here. So it is really our chief information source. We have more work to do on internal communications, and I think we know that, and I'm sure you know that, and we will try to make sure that you hear things from a reliable source before you hear them over the, I was going to say water cooler. Do we have water coolers anymore? I don't even know. We just hired a talent manager who will be based at our Gulfport campus and has responsibility for staff training and development. And that's very, very exciting because I have long felt that we have missed the mark when we have new faculty and staff coming in who want to know things about the university or how to access health benefits, or how to where to park, or how to be better in using computer systems, or how to learn how to put together a speech, or a myriad of things. What's the history of the university? I've really wanted to make sure that we concentrate on making those kinds of training opportunities available. And so then let's go to the two bars that undergird what we do: increasing financial health and sustainability. The word sustainability there is really, really important, because it's easy to make a corporation or a university healthy fast for a year. But then you have all the worries about, will we be healthy next year? We're making multiple year commitments to you as members of our staff, and you deserve to know that you're at a university that is here for the long haul and in a way that supports your work every day. And so we want to make sure that we're in financial equilibrium, that things are balanced, that we've looked at risks and mitigated what we can and figured out how to manage the others. So it's not just financial health that's important, it's sustainability as well. So I've just told you about first-year success in our campaign, and that the campaign planning was finished ahead of schedule. The Board of Trustees approved the campaign in February 2013, and alumnus Jeff Jolly is the chair. 4 of our faculty members were part of that initial planning: Anthony Hose, Scott Jones, Bridget Noonan, and Roy Gardner. And one of our students, John Kale, was also on that team. The College of Law is part of the university campaign. We are all in this together. Through changes in the development area at College of Law, I'm pleased to see substantial progress in alumni and development efforts. We're looking at continued improvement in our financial aid efforts across the university to make sure that we estimate financial aid properly so that we're not surprised when the year starts. We have successfully found about $2 million in cost reductions across the university, but more importantly, we've continued attention to enhance revenue production. The law school is working on a sustainable 5-year budget model. It's just about finished and has been presented. And across the university, we're looking at estimates for the key budget drivers, which is the number of staff, the number of faculty, the number of students, what kind of financial aid they get, what do we have to do in our facilities work, where's the economy going. We continue to model around all these major budget drivers. And through the help of our Office of University Planning, this past year, we developed KPIs, key performance indicators, and produced a book that is, I think, about 1.5 inches thick, and it's available to you on the web for Stetson planning and all kinds of resource and research data. So it's table after table of historic data and data comparing us to other universities that are our peers along very, very important statistical lines. You might take a look the next time somebody asks you a question like, well, what was the head count of students in the undergraduate program in 2004? You can find it there. Many of the administrative offices have been using Weave, which is a way to help us monitor progress in strategic planning and ensure the accountability to one another in reporting our outcomes, and that will move into the academic administration this year. One of the things I am really most proud of, though, is how we have deepened the way we live our core values, and that is the green, of course, the green bar across the bottom. Under the leadership of Bob Sittler and his team and the Values Commitment Steering Team, we have developed, or they have developed, 6 task forces that made recommendations with respect to our values commitments. The reports on those were published. Many of you took the time to read those and make comments. And then they were turned over, and then the Values Commitment team reflected on those comments, and all of that came back to my cabinet. The summary report and reflection on those recommendations will be posted before the end of the week. So I do encourage you to look at the Values website and see where we are. But in addition, there's been talk around the university for some time about the inauguration of a social justice lecture series, and that will be happening. We invite you to come in the middle of October and see Dan Edelman talk about poverty in America. He is one of the most progressive thinkers in that area. We also found on this campus in our focus sessions, we had one session each devoted to personal growth, intellectual development, and global citizenship, which we know are the three core elements of our values commitment. And throughout the whole focus program, we wove the importance of personal and social responsibility. I invite you to come to our Values Day, where for those of you who don't know this, we actually close classes, and our keynote speaker is the president of DeLand University in Louisiana. And then a number of you have volunteered to hold special sessions that afternoon looking at the university values and how we can put them into practice. I'm going to turn the program over now to Dr. Paul, and she has a couple of comments to give you, and then I'm going to come back and look forward briefly.
Good morning. This is such a lovely vision. It's very exciting. I wish you could stand here and see what I see, an incredible community that is lifting Stetson University, and I appreciate everyone's effort in that regard. All year round, we welcome new professionals to the Stetson University community, and we enjoy getting the announcements and learning about their bios, learning about the paths that they have taken to come to Stetson. So what I would like to do is ask everyone who has joined Stetson in the last 12 months as a staff member or an administrator, would you please stand for our group recognition? Of course, I will also recognize the many, many hours that go in by all of us to searching around the country for the best people for Stetson. So I appreciate everyone's efforts in that regard. We also have a very exciting opportunity this fall to welcome one of the largest classes of new faculty for the really a long time at Stetson. We're welcoming 32 new full-time faculty. And since we don't send individual announcements about each new faculty appointment, we would be giving you much more email if we did that. We want to celebrate those new faculty here. So I would like to read a list of the new faculty who are joining us this fall. This is full-time faculty. Of course, we have other faculty joining us this year as well who are part-time. But I'd like to acknowledge the full-time faculty, both tenure track and non-tenure track, who are joining us new this fall. So if you will please rise when I state your name and stay standing, and then if you could just hold on until I've read the whole list, we will acknowledge them together. We start with Yorgos Bakamitsos, who is Associate Professor of Marketing and also assuming the position of Associate Dean for Graduate Business Programs. Natalie Banta, Visiting Assistant Professor of Law. Frank Barbera, Lecturer in Family Enterprise. Christopher Bell, Assistant Professor of Religious Studies. I'm so excited. I want to just go and hug each of you. Okay, I'll do that later. Ed Boyer, Borchard Foundation Distinguished Professorial Lecturer in Law. Pamela Capas-Toro, Assistant Professor of Modern Languages and Literatures. Wingyang Chung, Associate Professor of Decision and Information Science. Rosalind Crowder, Assistant Professor of Biology. Stephen Ellis, Assistant Professor of Digital Arts. Christopher Ferguson, Associate Professor of Psychology, assuming the position of Chair of the Department of Psychology. Rosalie Flowers, Assistant Professor and Learning and Information Literacy Librarian. Mayhill Fowler, Assistant Professor of History. Krista Franco, Assistant Professor of Theater Arts. Jonathan Friedman, Visiting Assistant Professor of Biology and Brown Scholar. Ben Goss, Associate Professor of Sport Management. Alan Green, Assistant Professor of Economics. Laura Gunn, Associate Professor of Integrative Health Sciences and also assuming the role of chair in that program. Stephen Guthrie, Assistant Professor of Biology. Melinda Hall, Assistant Professor of Philosophy. Joy Haugard, Visiting Assistant Professor of Teacher Education. Bonnie Holloway, Visiting Lecturer of Accounting. David Houston, Visiting Lecturer in English and Modern Language and Literatures. Ken Lopatka, Distinguished Professorial Lecturer in Law. Deborah Maxwell, Visiting Assistant Professor of Chemistry. Aaron Moore, Visiting Assistant Professor of Psychology. Nicole Motier, Assistant Professor of History. Louis Paris, Visiting Lecturer of International Business. Elena Petrovic, Assistant Professor of Communications and Media Studies. Susan Ricardo, Visiting Lecturer in Integrative Health Sciences. Kevin Setter, Visiting Assistant Professor of Physics. Rajni Shankar Brown, Associate Professor of Teacher Education. Jaema Shim, Assistant Professor of Sociology. Corinne Strabel, Assistant Professor of Teacher Education. And Joe Woodside, Assistant Professor of Decision and Information Science. Please join me in recognizing them. Thank you. So if you were wondering what the faculty and what the deans have been doing this year, now you can plainly see. What has gone into those searches, which have been open national searches, has been very sharp vision about the definition of excellence and distinction in all of our academic programs, and leadership in combing the nation for the best people for Stetson. And I will say we have the right to be extraordinarily proud in the individuals that we have attracted to Stetson. We got our top choices, and these are the top national choices in each of these fields. So we should be very proud of the excellence in our academic program that are attracting these excellent new faculty to us. And please join me in welcoming them and also in supporting them as they transition to our community. I'm very grateful to everyone who has been part of this process, so thank you. Of course, it doesn't stop there. We're going to do it again this year. We also welcome this summer, as President Libby mentioned, Thomas Massey as Dean of the School of Music and Professor of Music. He is, stand, hi. Dean Massey joins Karen Ryan, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Sue Ryan, Dean of the DuPont Ball Library and Digital Learning Resources, Chris Petruskevich, Dean of the College of Law, Thomas Schwarz, Dean of the School of Business Administration, and altogether they serve as the Dean's leadership team. So I salute them for their efforts, and especially in these searches this year, what an incredible contribution you've already made to this university. Dr. John Pearson was appointed as Assistant Vice President for General Education, and he joins Lua Hancock, Eric Canny, Emily Richardson, Ray Barkley, Christina Brantley, and Carol Buckles as senior academic leaders. And together, all of these individuals comprise the senior academic leadership team. And it is an honor and a joy to work with them every single day and to witness their daily courage and their deep commitment to the future of this institution. It is an honor and a privilege to work with every one of you who are part of that in every day at Stetson University. So it is really an exciting moment to be here, looking forward and thinking about the work that's ahead of us. So I do believe that we're at a turning point. I do believe that we are turning a corner, and I do believe that May 3rd was a really exciting day for Stetson. And I think it creates a strength that we should count on and trust and allow us to look to the future and to believe in a future for Stetson University. So what I am charging the academic program with doing this year, and all of us are part of that because that is a very important part of the mission of this institution, is to look to that future on behalf of our current students as well as our future students, and on behalf of our society, look to that future and think about how all of our academic programs are essential for preparing the way for that future. So you'll be hearing a lot more about that as the year unfolds. We appreciate Stetson graduates and the unique people that are developed here at Stetson. All you have to do is think about some of the alumni that you have worked with and that you have helped to develop. And we have some of them here who have come back and joined us as leaders of this community. They're incredible people. So study who they are as people. And how do we purposefully, in a 21st century world, help to continue to inspire those kinds of people with that kind of character, with that kind of verve, with that kind of ability to challenge themselves and to seek challenge in the world, with the ability to trailblaze, with the ability to forge new ground, to develop new opportunities, to develop new ways of interacting with the world. And even most importantly, I think, to solve problems in the world and to make the world a better place. It's a noble thing that we're doing, and we have a responsibility to do it as well as we can, because I think Stetson University is very unique in being steadfast in its commitment to that future and its commitment to our students. So I ask you to join me in that effort and to join the full academic leadership team in that effort. And in that direction, we've been spending a lot of time this summer to think forward and think about how we need to start innovating to move in that direction. And you'll see some fresh thinking about that we will share with you as we move forward, looking at how we can help to define excellence and innovation in all of our academic programs, renewing our belief in the absolute core of general education for the undergraduate program, but also skills education in our College of Law and other similar very important core learning enterprises in our graduate programs across the board. Certainly looking at interdisciplinarity, President Libby mentioned that that's one of the things we've been trying to infuse in our designing of the new faculty positions is how can we create bridge builders? How can we create interdisciplinary learning opportunities for students who need that to go out and be leaders in this 21st century world? One of the things that is special throughout this academic program, I don't know one corner of this academic program for which this is not true, and that is that students engage in active learning, experiential learning, whatever you want to call it. It has a lot of different language, I think, in different fields, but experiential learning is a core to what Stetson does. How do we make that into a whole university distinctive and tell a very distinguished story with that? Certainly the movement that we've made in international and intercultural learning will continue full speed ahead. And we've also made some very important investments in learning technologies and really, helping our community to understand how we can use technology to deepen and extend student learning. But the underlying foundation of all of that is recognition of our faculty and support of our faculty lifelong learning. So you will see that as an underlying emphasis throughout everything that we are doing. And it was really a privilege and an honor this year to look in the faces of Hyatt and C.C. Brown, longtime trustees and friends of Stetson University, when they very quickly understood that the future of Stetson University does hinge on these extraordinary faculty and teacher scholars that make up this learning community. The future of this university and the aspiration that we have for this university requires the vibrancy that we have among the teacher scholars, many of whom are in this room or at the College of Law listening to this now. So how do we help to support our teacher scholar faculty to continue to learn, to be vibrant learners themselves, which they model so importantly to our students? How do we continue to do that? So you noticed in the memo that was sent out in May that we will have a Brown Center for Faculty Innovation and Excellence. It will begin over the next year. We'll start planning that. But that is a huge commitment and contribution to supporting a very, very important resource at this institution and to make sure that we are fostering the lifelong development of our faculty and therefore fostering the lifelong development of our students. So it will be an absolute pleasure to work on that with all of you, and I am eager for the year. Now, I have a special privilege this morning, and that is we are going to inaugurate a new award, and that will be presented during this session. So we're trying to mix it up and give you a little entertainment as well as the updates. So it is my pleasure to announce two winners of the new Faculty Advisor of the Year Award. I think it's fitting to follow on with the comments about the magic and the importance of faculty with recognition of faculty advising. I have said this before. I will say it again because it is heartfelt. I have never met a more generous faculty to students. You are very important mentors to these students, and I hear it over and over and over again. When we think of faculty advising, we often think about the nuts and bolts. That's not faculty advising. The true magic of faculty advising is helping to sculpt and develop an individual person, to help them to develop as whole people so that they do have the skills to go out and dare to be significant. And that is what you do day in and day out, inside and outside of the classroom. So it is really a pleasure to recognize two individuals who have excelled in that regard. And let me read some of what students have said about these individuals. You can imagine that the decision to select an advisor for this award was very challenging, and in the end, the committee was finally able to narrow it down to two deserving recipients. One student stated, "She is the most passionate and positive advisor that I had at Stetson." Another stated that she epitomizes the caring attitude that must be shown to get students to the next level. Another stated, "I don't know another single professor who goes so far above and beyond to advise students, even those who are not her advisees." These were all student nominees that influenced these awards, I should say. So in recognition of her exemplary leadership and service to students and the university, it is my pleasure to recognize Dr. Betty Thorne as an Advisor of the Year. Betty here. She here? Okay. While Betty is making her way, forward, I have another awardee to recognize. Our other recipient is also a dedicated, passionate advisor, as one student notes. He constantly encourages me to reach my potential and strive to do things that will get me ready for my future career. He has given me frank and honest advice, and I can trust him for real advice regarding my time at Stetson. Another student poetically wrote, "His awesomeness inspires me to do the excellent, to push forward and do things that I may not otherwise do, fearing failure, to soar and to reach new heights. This is what my advisor helps me to do. Also, he is cool." So at this time, I would also like to recognize the truly awesome and cool advisor, Dr. Michael Denner, as Advisor of the Year. Thank you. I will turn it back to President Libby. And again, full speed ahead. It's going to be a very exciting year. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always such a treat to recognize the stars in our community. And every one of you is a star in your own classroom and your own office. I would like to just give you a short sense of where we're headed this year, and in no particular order. We're going to spend some more time this year working to keep our brand fresh, helping people to see in an enhanced way how we differ from other institutions, as well to further internationalize our curriculum and expand our partnerships across the globe. We're going to meet our enrollment and revenue targets. We've done it before, we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it by enhancing our prospect pool of students who really want to be here and who are the best students for us. And we're going to work with their families way ahead of time for them to start thinking about how to pay for a four-year college education or graduate school or law school. This year, we're also going to develop a multi-year intercollegiate athletics plan to support the growth and compliance with Title IX. We also will make moves to support our strong value of holistic wellness for our campus community. Provost Paul has listed for you some of the things in the academic program, but I just can't resist underscoring the delight that both Hyatt and C.C. Brown had in knowing that they could contribute yet again to the quality of this university that they love so dearly. We're going to make new strides in enhancing alumni engagement, in fact, engagement all across the board, but certainly through our homecoming this year, through having our alums work more closely with us in recruiting students and then in hiring students. And there's even a possibility that we might separate out the reunion classes from homecoming and have a separate reunion for them in the spring, rather than mixing the two. I expect you'll see the inauguration of lots more traditions on all of our campuses, and that's an important thing. We all remember things that we had in our education that are signature moments, and I hope that for our students, the entering celebration that we had on Saturday, but tonight's convocation will become one of those signature moments for them. We're going to do some planning for our enrollment growth for additional faculty offices as well as staff offices and ways to accommodate our students, and plan for more innovative learning spaces. Indeed, we're spending lots of time looking at learning technologies and how to integrate e-tools into teaching and learning. This year, we'll also see the rollout for our staff and faculty of comprehensive, well, the faculty has done a lot of this work already, a comprehensive compensation philosophy and guidelines. And I'd like to think that we'll get better at celebrating and cheering one another on. It's always a pleasure to watch people get awards here, but there are 100 reasons, if not 200 or 300 every day, for us to celebrate. Whether it's when a light goes on in a student's mind because he or she has been impassioned by something that you have taught them or coached them into, whether it's because someone comes on this campus and thanks us for the beauty of our physical environment. Whether it's because we've helped somebody be healthier in their life, whatever it is, there are more celebrations that we can have for everything we do here. And I think we need to get a little better at that. We've been a little serious for too long. In that regard, I'd like to remind you that this evening at 5 o'clock, we will have a formal convocation to welcome the new academic year, followed by then that's over in Edmonds Center, followed by an all-community dinner, which will be in Rinker, I believe. So people wonder, and I did share with the School of Music faculty last week what it is I do here. And so I want to close by letting you know what my personal goals are for this year. She actually does do something. So our Board of Trustees asks me to consolidate my goals. Usually they only want 3, but it's really hard to come up with 3 things because I want to come up with 8 or 10 or 12, and they keep saying focus, focus, focus. So I'm just going to give you really the 3 or 4 major things that I will be spending my time on. And the first one is to guide us in a new strategic planning process. And I hope that when you have the opportunity, those of you who are interested in thinking about the future of our university will come and be part of that thinking. So starting sometime around October, late September, we'll be looking backwards, but we really want to spend our time looking forwards and developing where we're going to be, to put a stake in the ground and say, this is who Stetson will be in the future, and here is how we're going to get there. That plan will be submitted to our Board of Trustees in May of 2014. So yet again, we are not going to spend 2 to 3 years thinking about this. We already know enough to know who we are and what we need to be. I'll also be very heavily involved in leading the second year of our comprehensive campaign, and you usually front load a campaign and you go to some of your largest donors on the front end. So raising $35 million this year, while not simple, was expected in terms of the pace of the campaign, but my goal will be to raise another $25 million over the course of this year. That will take me off campus a bit, and so if you don't see me, if you're looking for me and you don't see me, just think that I'm out there raising money. We also have to continue to refine our multi-year operation and capital budgets, and I'm always involved in that, and make sure that our net revenues increase every year, which is what funds all the exciting things that we do. And most importantly, will be to support my senior team, without whom I could not do what I do every day. And they, of course, are always out there encouraging every one of you. So with that, I hope I've given you a flavor of where we've been in the past year, where we're going this next year. I encourage you to always think about how we did it in the past is not how we have to do it in the future. How things that didn't work in the past might still work in the future. How we can always be better at who we are and what we do. And how to commit ourselves every day to making this university the very best that she can be. I believe we have moved ourselves enormously in the last number of years. We have seen growth and strength and stability and acclaim. And it's my aim to lead you forward to continue that glorious path that we're on. Have a fabulous academic year. Thank you.